All right, now we are going to journey even deeper into the abyss of stupidity to deal with some people that have clearly not evolved as much as the rest of society. Of course, we're talking about Trump supporters, specifically Trump supporters on TikTok. I have successfully compiled a couple different TikToks of various different Trump supporters explaining why they are going to be voting for Donald Trump. I guess we'll start with this one.
As a Gen Z conservative, I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why I'm voting for Trump. The first reason is the border. As a person who lives in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas, which is about 20 minutes away from Mexico, it is important for me to have a safe border so that my city is safe. Second,
okay, that's really ironic that she's talking about this out of Texas when they've done studies specifically in Texas where they found that illegal immigrants commit less crime when they're in the state compared to native-born Texans. She is far more likely to be victimized by an American citizen.
Second is the economy, because we need to address inflation without talking about price gouging. The third reason...
Okay, actually, inflation just went down back to the Fed's initial goal. Their goal is an inflation rate of about 2%, and it just reached 2%. The Federal Reserve's preferred inflation measure on Friday provided the latest sign that price pressures are easing. So compared with a year earlier, inflation fell to 2.2%, down from 2.5% in July, and barely above the Fed's 2% inflation target. Excluding volatile food and energy costs, so-called core prices rose just 0.1% from July to August, also down the previous month's 0.2% increase. It was the 4th straight time that monthly price increases have fallen below an annual rate of 2%, the Fed's target. Compared with 12 months earlier, core prices rose 2.7% in August, slightly higher than in July. They can never give you a good answer if you ask, so what did Trump do to actually benefit the economy? Biden did like the Inflation Reduction Act and everything. What did Trump do? He inherited a good economy. Half of the conservative arguments, I swear to God, are just them not understanding that correlation does not equal causation.
Trump is the candidate for peace. As we saw in the Trump administration, there were 0 wars going on overseas. I don't think Russia would have invaded Ukraine.
That's not even true. Although Trump did not get us involved in any new wars, that's fair. There were absolutely still issues going on overseas. There were still terrorist attacks. And in fact, under Trump's presidency, 65 active duty troops were killed. Under Reagan's presidency, only 58 active duty troops were killed. So there were still a lot of our troops killed under Trump's presidency, especially when you compare it to previous Republicans.
And I also don't think Iran would have had those funds to send to Hamas to start October 7th. So that conflict wouldn't have started under Trump. And there's many more reasons.
They're literally just like making it up, you know? I'm voting for Trump because yesterday I hit my grandmother with a car. And if Trump was president, I would not have hit my grandmother with my car. I would not have thought that it was a good idea to take 3 shots of vodka and then try to drive. I wouldn't. You're just saying like, I think that if Trump was president, all of these bad things would never have happened. It's great. I guess you live in a fantasy world.
There is 5 reasons that I'm voting for Trump in 2024 as a woman and a mom. First off, I don't think that the federal government should have any say in what you do with your body, whether it's abortions, whether it's vaccines. I don't really care. It's not their place. Second is a given.
Wait, what? Why I'm voting for Trump? Because the federal government doesn't have a say on your body? First and foremost, it was the federal government that overturned the ruling that ensured that no government could interfere with your body. It was actually Trump's Supreme Court justices that were responsible for overturning the policy, the law that protected you from not just the federal government, from any government interfering with your body or telling you what to do with your body. So you're going to vote for that guy? When it comes to the vaccines, a couple things. The federal government never told everybody they needed to get vaccinated. All of the laws involving vaccine mandates and whatnot, those were state and local level laws, which are legal and The states have rights within the Constitution to enact vaccine mandates. The federal government does not. And the federal government did not. They only tried to do that one thing through OSHA, and then that also was shot down. So no, it never happened.
And the economy, the price of gas, groceries, housing, nobody can afford anything. I don't know, just based on that, why you would ever vote for Kamala.
There was a huge inflation spike when it came to gasoline, when it came to groceries and things like this, when Trump was president. And you know what? That inflation spike wouldn't have been as significant or as severe had Trump acted much more quickly upon realizing the severity of COVID. We could have prevented the economic disaster that all of us had to struggle through if Trump was able to take a little bit of fucking responsibility and stop lying to himself and everybody else that it's just the flu and it's going to go away, and instead recognize it for what it is and take the proper precautions. So in 2016, gas prices fell to a record low. Then gas prices began to rebound. So you can see here that the cost of gasoline was actually still going up throughout Trump's presidency. It dropped a little bit, went up, went up, went up. Had a big peak here. We had a bit of a dip here in January of 2019. And then there was another uptick of 2.8. Then it spikes up again in 2020, 2022, and gets really high. This notion that because Biden was president right here, when COVID was in full swing, when the war with Ukraine was in full swing, and gas prices were higher, it's Biden's fault. That's just dishonest.
To fix it, but she was part of the reason that it's messed up in the first place, so I don't know who's believing her. Third, I am in Arizona, so
Again, I swear to God, everything, dude. Correlation versus causation. That just is the end all to every conservative argument here.
Safety is a big one for me. I personally know a lot of people that have been affected by the fentanyl, drugs, crime, everything that's coming through the border, and once again, it's crazy that the person who let it happen is saying they're going to be the ones that fix it.
Donald Trump. In 2016, illegal immigration was up. It dipped a little bit in 2017. It spiked again in 2018 and rocketed up in 2019. And Trump is up here saying he's going to fix the illegal immigration, guys. Huh. So this girl's going to vote for the guy to fix this problem, even though when he was in office, he didn't do shit? In fact, you know what Donald Trump did fuck up? He fucked up legal citizens. He fucked up the ability of people to become legal by delaying green cards and whatnot. But illegal immigration did not decrease.
Fourth, we own our own business, and I know that they're saying that they're going to help small businesses and they're going to help the middle class. They also said the same thing in 2020, yet here we are, we're the ones...
Yeah, and that's also what Trump said, and then he signed a tax law that's in place until 2025 that is now giving tax cuts primarily to wealthy Americans. Curious.
The most, middle class and below, small businesses, people that work for themselves. Well, honestly, everybody, but you get it. And the cherry on top...
I like that. She's like, listen, I own a business, and yeah, Kamala says that she's gonna help people like me, but I don't believe her. That's all she's got. I don't believe her.
Is RFK, because I have been weary of vaccines and our food and seed oils and the whole entire dynamic for years and years and years, and I don't think it's a coincidence that there's so much autism, so much childhood obesity, so much child sickness.
Oh my God, speaking of so much autism, this girl literally just went off the deep end straight into the abyss of retardation. This is fucking embarrassing right here. First of all, you've always been skeptical of vaccines and whatnot. Again, are we all forgetting that the COVID-19 vaccine came out under Trump? And now she's literally like, there's so much more autism and whatnot. No, we've actually just gotten more sophisticated when it comes to diagnosing autism. There's absolutely no connection whatsoever that vaccines have to autism. This guy is one, I'm very curious. The precise moment I knew I was voting for Trump. All right.
This was the precise moment I no longer was a Democrat.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
This always baffles me, you know? Can you believe it, guys? I can no longer support this group of people that actually think that all human beings in this country, whether they have a legal status here or not, are deserving of life-saving medical care. Undocumented immigrants, they might be here illegally. That's fine. Fair. Their presence benefits the economy. they pay more in social services than they take out. They commit less crime on average compared to native-born Americans. This group of people, whether they have a legal status or not, provide a net good for the country. Therefore, simply providing the group of people that already provide a net good for the country with medical treatment if they need it, that is not at all a bad position to have. In fact, that is one of the most fucking reasonable and humane positions I could ever imagine. You're telling me that, like, if somebody walks in, I've been shot, please help, I'm bleeding out. Okay, let me see your legal identification. Oh, you're here illegally? Well, I guess we're gonna just let this dude bleed out. Like, what else? What are they supposed to do? Only a fucking psychopath would see this and think that this is something despicable, especially when we know that undocumented immigrants pay more into social services than they take out. So even if they wanted to argue, what if it makes my taxes go higher? Wrong. Undocumented immigrants pay more into social services, and healthcare, having access to healthcare, would also lower the overall cost of living.
That was the precise moment that I knew I was leaving the Democratic Party. Because I was a 2-time bone cancer survivor. I voted for Obama-Biden based on Obamacare. And when it...
So should somebody who's here illegally not receive cancer treatment? You survived cancer, and you don't think that fellow human beings should have the same right to cancer treatment just because they're not here legally? You realize that even in, like, the legal system, if there was somebody who was found guilty of murder and then he suffered a heart attack or had cancer or something, they would still treat him, even if he was a convicted murderer. We don't just refuse medical treatment to people because they're here illegally or because they committed a crime or something.
Was implemented in 2010, I ended up losing my insurance. I went from an insurance plan that was $185 a month with a $1,000 deductible to that policy being canceled because it no longer met the requirements of Obamacare. And I was left with the cheapest option being $1,200 a month, $6,000 deductible. $185 a month, $1,000 deductible to $1,200 a month, $6,000 deductible. I went 10 years without insurance, and I was penalized each year because I could no longer afford insurance. And in 2016, every single Democrat candidate up on that debate stage raised their hand and said they would give illegals free health care.
Don't you want free healthcare? This man is pretty much just saying that he's now spiteful. His entire argument is built on, yes, spite. I wanted free healthcare, so now I don't want other people to have free healthcare either. You should be able to access healthcare. And I'm sorry that the program that was meant to do that didn't allow that. I also think that regardless of your status, regardless of whether you're here legally or illegally, whether you are a felon or whether you are a law-abiding citizen, I think that you should also receive medical treatment if needed. Just because the program failed you, that doesn't mean that out of spite, you should now be against giving other people access to health insurance.
Didn't have insurance for 10 years, and I was supposed to get CT scans, chest x-rays, and all these other tests done every 6 months to ensure my cancer didn't come back. And they wanted to give illegals free health care. That was the exact moment I was no longer a Democrat.
Again, going through that experience, you would think that you would want things to be better for future generations. But no, instead we're falling back on the classic boomer mentality. Because I had it bad, everybody should have to suffer. Since I had to suffer constantly, it would be unfair if everybody else didn't also have to suffer. America. If you believe in America, then don't you want this country to fucking improve? It sucks that you lost your health insurance. Maybe we should make it for future generations so that doesn't happen. Whether they're here undocumented or not. Wow, this guy's a fucking psycho.
You know, people ask me why I'm voting for Donald Trump. I'll tell you why. Take a look at the world. Take a look at all of the chaos. Take a look at the prices. Look at the gas prices. Look at how many people are unemployed. Look at the border issue.
We're back to correlation equals causation, everybody. They literally just think that everything exists in a vacuum or something.
Everybody was at peace. Or
these literal fucking nerds have like this weird fantasy about America and how it used to be. They think that like under Trump, it was just this perfect utopia. Everything was great. Everybody worked together. Everybody was friends. And then Biden came along and he fucking nuked America. It's like they just don't understand. They don't realize that things were still not great under Trump. There were still school shootings. There were still terrorist attacks. There were still problems with the Middle East. There were still tensions even brewing between Russia and Ukraine. That's right. This man has no understanding of what the fuck he's talking about. Honestly, I think this video right here probably takes the cake because this guy had cancer and lost his insurance. He thinks other people with cancer, if they're an undocumented immigrant, that they shouldn't get health insurance either. All right, great. Well, I hope everybody watching here is a legal citizen because I don't know about you, but this TikTok alone gave me cancer.
If you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a member today. Members get early access to videos, access to all the stream VODs, and exclusive access to emotes as well. So if you'd like to support the channel, become a member today.